We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
School and all James Woods can say is, ooh, I'll be second day. 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 When a ball turned into a vampire, all James Woods could say was, ooh, I'll be second day. 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 When he became Peter's best friend, they sat around the house and said, ooh, I'll be second day. 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 And you know that James Woods practices lingerie well, but everything that he reads becomes real hard to spell. Everyone tries to help him, but the words just won't come out. There's only one thing he can think of, and it's what comes out his mouth. Ooh, I'll be second day. 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 When he comes out of his house, the women scream and shout. Ooh, I'll be second day. 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 And I know that he's an actor, the best of them all when he says, ooh, I'll be second day. 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 Reese's Pieces on the floor and watch him come a saying, ooh, I'll be second day. 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 And you know that James Woods practices lingerie well, but everything that he reads becomes real hard to spell. Everyone tries to help him, but the words just won't come out. There's only one thing he can think of, and it's what comes out his mouth. Ooh, I'll be second day. 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 When he comes out of his house, the women scream and shout. Ooh, I'll be second day. 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 Ooh, I'll be second day.
That girl, wherever seen things you people wouldn't believe.
So, a creature for my amusement. Prepare for battle.
Fucking thing sucks!
What is this? Strange yellow ball in sky, skin melt. What the hell, man? Good afternoon and good morning to some of you folks out yonder on the West Coast. This is Extra Bulla in the afternoon. And I think I like this. I like this a little bit. I got a little more pep in my step. You know, I just finished off my morning tea. You know, this is a good time. Thanks for coming out. Who we got here? We got Indy left. What's up, buddy? Yona's in the house. Jimmy, how you doing, sweetie? Got my nephew Matt. Oh, he's a glutton for punishment. I love that kid. Ricky Rance is here too, and Lainey Peterson. What's up, lady? I was giving her hell last night on the show, saying I was giving her a guilt trip. So you gotta get on the show. You know, maybe we can have a wine show. Maybe I can entice her to do that. But you know, enough about me. Do you want to see the guy that actually showed up and decided to do this for me? My guy, here he is, Daniel Luepker. What's going on, brother? How are you, sir?
Good. I'm glad to be here. It seems like I'm the last guy on the show on the team, so I'm really honored to finally get on here.
Yeah, I know, right? We saved the best for last when it comes to dudes. Now we got to get the ladies on here. Lainey and Kira. I love Kira. But Kira can bring like one of her wild ass pair of earrings that she wears. I'm usually every time she's on there, I'm usually one of the few that's in there that's like, ooh, those are cool. Because sometimes she'll have.
Do you
like
know
a
the
little
story
drink.
behind those?
No, please tell us.
So Wendy, from the chat, sent a large box of earrings to Kira around December, and so she just wears them on the show now.
That's it.
That's
I
the
was gonna be
story.
like, oh, I thought it was just like, you know, she went to the Himalayas and you know, kind of like a Batman story, you know, she was outfitted by Raja Ghul, you know, and she said, must wear these earrings, Kira, anytime you're on
Well,
the show.
if you know anything about Kira, those are the normal stories. It being a normal story is actually an abnormal story. So
Okay. Yeah, we'll get her and Lainey on here. Maybe have a ladies' night. We had one of those a couple months back. It was great. The kids love it. But enough about those nice people. Let's talk about you, sir. So you are the CEO of 99 Perspectives, right? Is that correct?
that's right.
Okay. So, as per our usual indoctrination techniques, we're going to need to have that Marvel origin story. So, how did you get to that point, and what inspired you in the past to do that?
Well, I guess they have to start somewhere, and you can't start from birth, so you got to start with a point of meaning. I think the best to do that would be about 2014. Um, I joined Wolfpack, which of course is a TYT property, and it's where I met Kit, it's where I met Kira, and 20 of us in a year got a amendment referendum passed in Illinois, which was corporations are people. Uh, corporations are not people. Money is not speech. Public funding for elections. We got it passed, and we really didn't have anything to do. So we were sort of like the group was sort of splitting apart. And I had the idea of starting Hardlands Media. I called Kit, and then we eventually got Kira and Lainey, a number of other people, and that grew into its own thing. But at the very start, it was really just me and Kit for the first 2 years, where we just went out into the city to every protest we could find, everything that seemed interesting we could film. We did about 500 interviews, about 125 events in that time, and we were working in the most inefficient manner possible. It was 2 or 3 hours of footage was taking 30 hours to produce plus filming. And but we learned a lot. We learned a lot about the lay of the land. We learned how things operated. It really started to understand what made a good organization in terms of what led to success, what sort of things are intrinsic to that. And after 2 years of that, we were ready to kind of move to the next step. And around that time, that's when Lainey's in around this time as well for that kind of that revamp. And she gets us into our first radio station, which became our home base. We did a show at 12 p.m. on Saturdays, and we did that for about a year and a half. Well, 15 months, I believe, exactly. Um, we were model people in there. We kept everything clean, and basically we tried to actually start at that time. I had the idea when we were working on radio for 99 Perspectives, which was a space where regular people can come in and do the sort of work that we do on the show at this point shows. And that was where the idea started, was there. And so we were originally working with the radio station that we were a part of, and that deal fell apart in the most catastrophic backstabbing way that one can imagine. And so we just were like, okay, and we just left, which I don't think that they were expecting. They kind of gave us an ultimatum after we were promised a certain budget, certain this, certain that, and every week they would go, we're going to take back a little bit, of that, take back a little bit of that, and then I think at some point they literally just um, how do I put it? Got cold feet after they had invested the money. Like, they got cold feet at the worst possible time, like, for them, because, we knew the person was kinda sketchy when we worked with them, so they were the ones that put all the money down. We were gonna put on all the labor. So they kinda got stuck with stuff they couldn't use, which is kinda funny. Very sad at the time, but kinda funny retrospectively. And so they couldn't use it because they don't know what they were doing. And eventually, we had to put that idea on the back burner for a while. We focused on Hardlands. We moved the show into my studio. We did 3 days a week. Uh, the studio was my apartment for that time, and then, I put together enough money to, get us into, our first studio, which was the one that had the brick background in it, and, Lainey actually found the place. It was a very good place for the first studio. It was very, very affordable, one-year lease, and, everything worked out. And so got that, after the second year, we really decided now's the time to come and start 99 Perspectives. And so that's why we're in the current location we're at now. The pandemic has been a big hamper to that, but we're here now.
Yeah, let's take a look at your website here, 99 Perspectives. Zoom this in a little bit. So you guys have a plethora of offerings here, right? So you have Hardlands Media. You also have Chicago Reacts, right? That's a huge thing for you guys too, isn't it?
Yeah, it represents about 95% of our total viewership.
And what is Chicago Reacts? What's that about?
I find interesting videos, and I have 4 teams of people, and 3 times a month, they come in for 2 or 3 hours, and they watch content that I find, and I record that, and then I send that off to Phase to just be broken up into pieces and get thumbnails. It's about as efficient as we can possibly get it, and that, channel actually more or less pays for rent and utilities in the studio currently, so that Hardlands can just, because, everything's under sanction right now. Hardlands is just barely able to, cover, personnel costs effectively, but it's allowed to do that because of Reacts.
And even despite the YouTube's and their stifling algorithms, I mean, Hardlands is still uh, has been able to grow. And I know you guys are up to pretty close to what, like almost 40,000 subscribers now.
We've been stuck around that level for about 2 years now.
Oh, really? How are your numbers
We've
on?
recently
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, how are they on Rockfin? Have you seen growth there?
It's 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 not enough to call home about. If you're talking growth, it's all on all of our entertainment channels. Like, Chicago Reacts gains 1,000 subscribers about every week.
Okay,
We just hit 70,000 subscribers the other day, and
because
it's only, a year and a half old.
I've noticed people that have moved over. They started on YouTube, and not all of them, but a lot of the content creators that moved over to Rockfin had seen like a significant interest and reflected in subscriber numbers. So like I always
It's
say about,
there.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
well, I was gonna
growth,
say,
it's there, but it's
yeah,
for the amount of people we have and the amount of overhead we have to cover, it's it's a relevant amount, but it's sort of also a irrelevant amount. If we didn't have reacts in place, it wouldn't have
mm,
mattered, but since we do, it's actually a very nice, like, technically, like, we break even completely on Patreon and Hardlands Media, and any amount that we might make is all from Rockfin and, Odyssey.
okay. I mean, like people are just, I think now just starting to like who I call the normies, people who are outside this space who don't really, who normally just watch stuff on YouTube. I think they're just now starting to discover sites like Rockfin and Odyssey, Rumble too. And there's a whole lot of other platforms out there that just don't get the notice because, it's everybody knows YouTube. Um,
Yeah, that's the big issue is that it's like if you look at it just from a per like, how much is a viewer worth in just in an economic terminology, like, YouTube is the lowest value per viewer, based on how payout works. Rockfin, it tends to be the highest. The
yeah.
problem is then the proportionate amount of actual people actively engaged on the website is so minuscule compared to YouTube. So that's why we do all of them. That's why when we're actually planning to add Rumble in somewhat soon. As you guys know, we was just talking the other day about the big changes that we're going to be making. So we're actually doing a big shift over to Rockfin, to Odyssey, and Twitch as well. And we're moving away from YouTube, but we're still staying on YouTube. We're trying to play the advantage of every single website at the same time. We know YouTube doesn't want us to tell news, so we're not. We're just going to do like news adjacent, fun, gossipy content on YouTube. That'll be the first half hour, and then we'll actually do the real news off YouTube on Rockfin.
It's pretty sad you have to get, play those games like that, but that's how you have to survive nowadays with all the all the censorship that's going on, and and I'm glad that you're able to do that too. Now here,
Yeah, I gotta say though, it was as soon as you leave news on YouTube, I gotta say it's actually pretty nice. With
yeah,
it because from the YouTube's point of view, they just wanna make money off you and have people stay on the site, and Hardlens has taught me how to do that. A huge amount of influence of Hardlens influenced how I did, reacts, a huge amount of how we do it.
um, so one of
But I
my
mean sorry,
favorites.
go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I'm a I was born in Chicago, right? But we left when I was 2, so you could say like, well, you're not really like Chicago person, but my dad lived there for like 30 years, and he would always tell me stories about Chicago. So it kind of felt like through, I guess, osmosis of the stories dad told, I feel like I'm a Chicago dude. And so when I found out you guys were in Chicago, I was like, all right, and you're the only ones I listen to out of Chicago. So but I also listen to Jerry and Ed, and I think Kit's on there too, on Chicago Corner. Um and that is, I love that show so much. I get to listen to all the great local stories that are going on in Chicago. Jerry's great, Ed's great, Peg Leg, and that that criminal cow of his. I even like them too. That's our little shtick. I always get in the chats and say that cow needs to go to jail for burning the town down, and like, you can't prove that, Rusty. you got no pictures. But yeah, I think what you have going on 99 Perspectives is it's still growing. It's still, I think it's one of those things where it's like the more people hear about it, the bigger it gets, particularly with the variety of services and shows and whatnot. So, and you said you guys do radio too, right?
Yeah, Lainey has been spearheading that for a number of months. We actually had an anonymous donation, which I don't know who it is, but I can say it's definitely someone from Hardlands. And Hardlands audience member, we don't know who it is, donated, I think, 100 gigabytes of music to the radio station.
Oh wow,
And it was
that's
like
great.
like Lainey was like, this is like the perfect spread. And I was really happy. Like, someone sent it to us, and we didn't like. I didn't like look at the hard drive, not the flash drive they sent for like a whole month, because I'm like, someone anonymously sent us a flash drive. That's very suspicious. But eventually I got a computer that I knew wouldn't be infected, and I'm like, oh, this is a lot of music. Let me send this to Delaney. And so now effectively the radio station has been worked out so that it has um constant music going on, playing, and it's actually technically the fastest growing thing we have in terms of the number of shows that Lainey's been managing to add on, and new people she's bringing into the network. And I'm really excited about that, how that's going to keep playing out. And now they're just growing that user base for that. Currently, it's a web radio, but we are planning long term to have something terrestrial with a tower, because a big part of 99 Perspectives' overall mission is to to have regular people be able to tell their stories, which they currently can't because of how things operate, and to change the image of the city, because there really isn't a hub for anyone. If you're a comedian, you feel like you have to either move to New York or LA. If you're, any of these creative positions, you feel like there's not a spot in Chicago. And that really got to me. And I felt that, why don't we have that? Why can't we have that? And so I decided to not complain about it, just build it. And everyone else has been building with me. And it's been really cool to watch these unique pieces come out of it. And so I don't know if you had told me that we would end up here when I first thought of it, I would have said, good, things worked out. It was a very big risk to go down this path. A lot more expensive to do a studio than to do a home studio, a lot more. And but it's very nice to see things going the way they are, and it's like we're always we're doing well, and that's exciting.
We were talking about this before you went on, about the services that you provide. I think what it is I think probably the key to one of the keys to your success is the niche that you're filling. Like you said, you weren't seeing anybody else offering what 99 Perspectives was offering. And we were talking about how people could come in and they could do their own shows if they want to, and they didn't have to have training at all. You could just come right off the street. If we probably have little to no knowledge about it, but if you got ideas for a show, I mean, if you could explain again how that worked.
Yeah, so this actually was partially influenced by the radio station we were on at the beginning, and how it was like one of the worst managed places I've ever been to. Like, their margins didn't make any sense. The way they ran everything didn't make any sense. The guy clearly wasn't running a business to run a long, successful business that helped people. Who was running an ego project, more or less. But one of the things that they did was you could rent radio space for 2 hours for $25, which is like a ridiculously low price. But you had to operate the board yourself, which is easy relative compared to what we do now, but it's still a bit of a hassle to have just and it's like, why have that? Because, every time we'd get on the board, someone would have messed up, like, every single knob, and something would have gone wrong. And it's like that's just like when you're literally like turn recording on, turn recording off, stream on, stream off, board. Like those are the only things you're dealing with. As soon as you touch OBS, you run OBS, you cannot
Yeah.
have more than one person run OBS. You can't have random people run that stuff. It'll just destroy the entire system. And so
Yeah.
it's almost it's a bit of experience, but it is also out of necessity that a huge like all the complex portion of the studio, we have someone, usually Phase, who's on hand to actually run other people's stuff. But we've gotten so good at it because we run on the very complex and hard lens media, which is a very, very complex show from a board running perspective. And then we have huge amount of experience running StreamYards in general, and then Chicago Corner basically specializes in it. And then you have a more basic end, which is like the Reacts content, which is literally just turning on a video screen and turning it off and adding on an intro to it. So we have more experience than anyone else in the Midwest to do this kind of work and dealing with multiple cameras, multiple microphones, multiple equipment, multiple set designs. So it's like we're already doing this stuff on a daily basis. So if someone comes in, it just makes all the sense in the world that we continue running it. And so a client, so you're asking, how's that work? So someone comes, they either, they learn about us through reputation, they stumble upon our website. We have a couple other places where our stuff is posted. And so first of all, the model that we put together is better than the others in terms of we wanted to make sure everyone could afford it. That was a really big deal. And when we were working with television, you worked in television. It's like 8 to 12 people at any given time are needed in a television station to keep that place running. Even our work on radio, if the place is being run competently, which is actually another radio station we went on, you still need 3 or 4 people to run the station at any given time. And that all makes these prices very high. So, if you're talking a broadcast, any other editing studio in the city, you're talking $500 an hour. You're talking a radio station, you're talking a minimum of $150 an hour if you're not even in the studio, which is one place we went to, which they were like, they could maybe get you 20,000 people tuning in at some point in an hour, which is not that much. Or our model, which only takes one person.
Right. So
And
that's
the
it.
engineer.
And it's just like any other business, like the lower your overhead, the more service you can provide at a reasonable cost, and then that reasonable cost is going to bring more people in. So it's like a nice cycle of getting more and more people in. The thing is just getting the word out to the people. So
That's the hardest part we're currently dealing with,
Yeah.
is that there is no live stream studio, social media production house concept that has ever been done before in the entirety of the Midwest. So it's not just getting people to know that we exist. It's getting people to understand the concept that we're trying to create. And that's very difficult because no one has, especially the people we're looking for, because in a lot of ways, we're looking for people that don't have technical experience or just experience working on social media. And so it's very outside of their bubble. And it's hard for them to go, no one thinks, I don't know this thing. Let me find a place that I don't even think exists. How would I even find it in the first place? How would I look for it? I don't even know the terms. And so that's where we're at right now but the second that we get those people like in the studio and we show them the range of what we can do, they get it. Almost every single one of them gets it the second they come in. So like actually if you go back to that webpage you had up a second ago with the services, one big thing that we were working on for the longest time was how do we even explain to people that have no idea what any of this is? So actually right here, you see that we had some videos we put together that
you want me to play this video?
No need to play it. I'm just wanting to show it. That the fact that it exists. And so it's like here's what you get with this package. Here's what it looks like. Here are the services that come with. And then you have like the next tier. Here is this package. Here are the services that come with it. here's how it looks. So you even see on that on the thumbnail that's showing all the different camera angles because we realized when
Right.
we first tried to talk about it to people, we're like, we have to really simplify this for people.
No, yeah.
And
And
yeah,
the good thing about digital medium like this is it's much easier to learn than it used to be in the old days. Like when I used to do like video editing, for example, you had to have 3 tape decks. You had your A roll, your B roll, and then you had your record deck. And now it's just all in with nonlinear. And so like you have, like when we were talking about this on our technical stream a few months back, we were talking about the various offerings that you could do, like we're using right now. We're using StreamYard, which is it's very easy to learn how to do. You don't have to be like a TV or even a computer technician to know how to run it. It has very simple instructions on how to do it, that sort of thing. And and it's just easier to get people into the space that want to do their thing. But like you said, it's just you just got to get the word out. I mean, I'm sure you guys have presence on like the major social media, which is like one of the best ways to advertise. But are you doing anything like any outside of the box type of thinking as regards to like advertising your services without having to actually pay for advertising?
yeah. So right now, effectively, the 99 Perspectives has really turned on since February. So
Hmm.
it's really only been operational in a true capacity for basically like 80 days. And the other side of this is before the pandemic started, we did a very bad version, but like a prototype version of 99 Perspectives at another studio right before the pandemic started, and we immediately had 8 people sign up. And then the pandemic happened literally 15 days later, and everything got shut down, and that kind of canceled itself out. Um, so we know all the pieces work, but to your point on advertising, the hardest thing to deal with is, like I said, that we're trying to find people that don't know we exist and don't know to look for us and don't know that they need us. And so the way that we mostly deal with that is every other month we have a party at the studio, and it's there to really show off the space, but also really be a cool place that people can attach positive memories to. And they're a lot of fun. We usually get, I mean, again, we've only started doing them, but we hit almost hit capacity. We had about 35 people come in last time, and we're
Nice.
expecting 25 to 30 this time. We didn't do as much prep setting up for it. We usually give it a month to grow these things out, and this time we gave it like 2 weeks. So I'm pretty happy with the turnout. But that's the best way we have right now. I'm sort of, always meandering around looking for if there's another way to do this that doesn't cost a huge amount of money. And for me, it's like as long as I get the return and I'm not burning, burying money or whatever. Because we really, it's we have a limited budget and we're running like 7 companies out of it. So
Well, I tell you, the most inexpensive and probably the best way is word of mouth. As long as you're consistently putting out a good product, that word's going to get out, and people are going to tell other people about it.
yeah,
Um,
that's where we get most of our businesses referrals from word of mouth. It's basically like I said, it's like it's one thing if we had 15 shows going on every month, then
mhm.
word of mouth takes care of itself. But right now it's in those steps where you only have like, 2 or 3 people, but they're telling everyone. They're very happy. We actually shot a movie scene, which I don't think I can tell exactly what movie it is. But we shot a movie scene in here, and the director that came into the space was just floored by what we had put together. He's like, "I've never seen anything like this before," but because he understood what he was looking at, he was very, very excited, and so he's promised us, like, anyone that needs something like this because, again, there is nowhere else in the city to go and do this sort of thing in.
Yeah, as long as you're straight with people, as long as you're providing consistency and quality, yeah, it's that word is going to get out like wildfire.
Yeah.
All right. Now we got all the business out of the way. You take your business hat off. Now we're gonna have some weird, fun, happy stuff here. Go ahead. I had a tinfoil hat last night that I was wearing for.
Okay, there we go.
I was like acting. I had a tinfoil hat I was wearing last night for the conspiracy show, but it started digging into my forehead, and I said, "Well, I'm all down for comedy, but this kind of pain, and I'm not getting like any real kind of pleasure out of it. I had to take it off." So, so let's talk about Daniel, the person, the dude, right? Born and raised in Chicago.
Yeah, suburbs. I live in the city now.
Oh, okay, right on. How do you deal with that cold in the winter? Is it
Easy.
just not a thing
It's
now?
it's a sense of pride. It makes the summers feel better. Like I always say that, you can have a 10 out of 10 day in LA, but if you're always having a 10 out of 10 day, it's always a 7 out of 10 day. And we have 10 out of 10 Chicago summer days, and fall especially is really nice here. The winter you just kind of deal with. It's just something you get used to. It's for people that just kind of come in here, it feels really bad just because your body hasn't acclimatized. It's usually like a 2-week period when it starts getting cold, which if you live here, you just get used to because it happens pretty gradually. And then you just deal with the cold. As a side effect, Chicago has the best bar scene because our city size and the cold. We have a great bar scene.
You gotta warm up.
There you go.
Well, I'll tell you, I've in recent years I've been I've been up to Minnesota. I have friends that live in Rochester and Duluth, so I've experienced that Midwest winter before, and it's the lake effect that's really, it's the wind. When that wind comes off of Lake Michigan like that, that's just that's what, the temperature itself, it seems like you can get acclimated to it, but with that wind hits, man, you're just like, I mean, you are the Windy City, so
Yeah, yeah, you just don't walk a lot when it's that windy, and it's not usually. It's actually gotten, thanks to climate change, it's actually gotten a lot more temperate in my lifetime. I remember when I was very young, it used to be a lot colder, a lot windier, and it's just not as much anymore.
I've found that I'm in New York, and I found that way too. So I grew up down south. I spent half my life down south. Uh, Hot, muggy, just ass summers, right? Just thick, just disgusting. And then in the wintertime, you're looking at, you get a hard freeze every once in a while, but for the most part, it was usually 30s and 40s. You were talking about LA, so I went out to LA. I lived there for about 5 years, and yeah, it was like you said, like every day. This is pretty. Yeah, you kind of get. It's like you get bored with nice weather. You take it for granted, right? And you kind of miss seasons. So when I moved to New York, and I've been here about 13 years. At first, I couldn't stand the winters. It was like super cold, and then the snow. I wasn't used to snow, and then all this stuff. But a few years after that, it flipped on me. I used to be a big summer guy, and I couldn't stand the winter. Now I love winter and that early spring, and I dread summer because I don't have air conditioning in this place. So it's this building was built right after the earth cooled. That's how old this place is, and so the wiring's crap, and the landlord is like this guy. He looks like Richard Harris, but he sounds like Larry King. He's like, "Don't you run any air conditioners? You burn the place down." So summers around here are kind of miserable with the humidity and whatnot, but the wintertime, oh man. And you're right, those bars do help, at least to
And
take that off.
there's a lot that people that don't have a cold weather climate or seasons really that they miss out on by not having a winter. It creates two different economic shifts, which is kind of a lot of fun in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, yeah, you said the bar scene, they definitely benefit from it. I mean, in the summer too, like, cause it gets humid in Chicago, right?
I mean, it can get very muggy, in the summer, but, usually not terribly so for too long. You might have, like, a couple weeks of 90-degree weather, but, everyone has AC.
Yeah, that's nice to have. I have strategically placed Dollar Tree Vornado fans that I get like an airflow in here. I mean, it's not horrible. It like on the really hot days when you get in the upper 90s and it's humid, yeah, it's pretty it's pretty bad. So when the fan goes out, I have to break out this guy. And then cuz he's the king of New York, but he's also cool. So, anyway, it was my walking shtick for the day. So
I remember
do you go out to the bars there in Chicago?
I don't really I'm not a drinker.
Not a
I mean,
drinker?
it's not that I don't drink, I just don't drink often. It's not a habit. I smoke. It's a way cheaper hobby.
Oh, you mean like are you talking about the devil's lettuce? Is that what you're talking about?
The
The
God's lettuce.
God's lettuce. You got that right, brother. No, I'm the same way too. I used to be growing up down south. It was much easier and less hassle to get drunk than it was to get stoned. Because we're talking about living in the Bible Belt, and that's the devil's lettuce. And it's like, no, I think if anybody needs to smoke the devil's lettuce, it's probably you people. But then I get to LA.
They all mean all of America needs a heroic dose of psilocybin mushrooms.
I think so too. Have you ever tried any of those like Matrix bars that have the psilocybin in it?
Edibles don't work with me. My body just doesn't, extract it properly. It's just a waste of money for me.
Really? So how do you do mushrooms?
Oh, mushrooms? A lot. I'm very resistant to them. I don't get them
Oh,
often, no one sells them, but every time I do, I try about a lot. I
I
haven't got
tried
them
a
in years, which is really sad.
I tried mushroom tea one time, wine bars. Is she talking about chocolate bars with wine in, or is she talking about actual wine bars? Probably like go into bars type thing. But it didn't take.
Maybe
I
there's
tried the
both.
tea. Yeah, there's probably both. I've seen booze infused chocolates before. Those are pretty. They have I think they have the candy with the original is the rum balls, right? You'd always hear like on these old TV shows about, these people in the 60s and 70s bringing rum balls to parties and stuff and people getting hammered off of cake.
It's interesting with, like, here's the thing that's also sucks dealing with mushrooms, is that they're very inconsistent. Like, you could literally make tea perfect way. You did the you boiled it, you simmered it perfectly, you made it the right temperature, and the person that sold it to you just gave you old mushrooms, and it didn't matter.
That could
Like,
have been. Could have
they're
been.
so inconsistent, and they're so hard to get, which is a real shame.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of these people that I've never done like cocaine or heroin or crack or none of that business. I've only smoked pot. So I've never really tried like mushrooms for like a mushroom trip, so I'm a little hesitant. I don't know how my
You
personality.
always wanna have what you wanna do, at least in my experience, is you wanna find someone that you trust completely, and you want them to be with you the entire time, and just kind of make sure you're not doing anything crazy,
Right.
and take enough that it resets your personality. That's what I try and do.
Right on. Well, I mean,
Like, 10 grams at once. It's a lot. At lea I'm very resilient, so probably take less than that, but enough that you can't stop it resetting your mind.
I don't know. I don't know, Daniel. I mean, I look at you and you're just a wild man, and I don't know if I could ever. I'm afraid to get to that level of energy. I don't know what the hell I'm
See, this
talking about.
No, this is me not having it. I can tell you, almost guarantee, if someone finally found them for me, you look around a little bit, if someone's finally I would be different the next day for at least 6 months,
Really?
and then I kind of just settle down to here.
What do you like? What do you like after?
It's how to describe it? It's like, you can't really describe what it's like. Mm, it's like the Chicago fire in a sense. Not quite. It's not destructive in that nature, in that the fire burns away everything, but then you're able to rebuild a new city on top of it. It's more like all the pieces of the buildings are deconstructed but reconstructed in a modern technical way. So if new all of the steel and glass and fiber cable and everything that's in New York was kind of pulled into their parts and then immediately put back together in the way that a modern city would be built.
That's deep, man.
That's the best way I can describe it. That's why I like going through that process because it just pulls my mind apart, but it doesn't destroy a part of it. It just rebuilds it the way that I would have built it today.
It's like Inception, man. That's like I would if I was able to get inside your head while that was happening and see like the destruction, but then the reconstruction. I probably wouldn't need mushrooms myself. I'd be like, wow, this is trippy enough. I love this.
Yeah, it's like I was when I'll see in between heartbeats. I'll see the very manifestation of what chaos means in real time. And but it's fun. It's uh like you're driving a giant super tanker ship with full force forward, and all you can really do is steer and you're near the coast. You can't slow down even if you wanted to. But all you can do is make sure you don't crash. But
Oh,
you get
okay.
through that. That's like what it's like. It's like being on a roller coaster in your mind for 3 or 4 hours straight, that you can't stop. Don't try and stop it. That's where you get bad effects, when you try and resist it. That's why it's good to have someone you trust nearby. But just let yourself go through the process, and you'll come out an improved version of yourself, at least in my experience.
I think you should, Daniel, you yourself, you should do like a mushroom show, like a once a month thing where you just go on and you just, like usually people who have like weed or mushroom shows or something like that, it looks like Sid and Marty Krofft and they got like, Yes album covers behind them and like, hey man, let's take a trip down a flavored rainbow, and you're sitting here like, you could be like the Dr. Ruth of mushrooms. I'm not saying you're a small German lady, but I'm just saying like you could just talk about it like kind of clinically, and it's like, well, now if we do it this way, certain things can happen here, and kind of like not a spirit guide, but like Rod Steiger on the Twilight Zone. Only you're just explaining about mushrooms.
Yeah, it just I could just, like, basically from what I've said, I would just say the same things. I've only done them a couple times, which has been the most impactful moments of my life when I've done them. That's why they stick with me, because it changes the way that I look at the world. I always like, it wouldn't surprise me if 99 Perspectives came out after I did something, some confluence after I did. It's very resetting for me. It's like, another way to describe it that might be easier as well. It's like, if you have a large house and it's filled with a lot of clutter, but it's not like stuff you don't necessarily not need. You just haven't like organized it properly. It's like mushrooms immediately organizes it in your mind when you're done if you let it.
Oh wow. See,
That might be a better descriptor.
yeah, that explains it very well. I guess it's just like anything new like that. I'm always afraid that I'm gonna be the, the person that it does something totally different. Uh, like with I hear
For
a
your
lot of
your
people.
first time, you wanna do a smaller amount. You don't wanna jump into
Right.
what I do right away.
Yeah, I think who is it? I think Atris in the comments was talking about you want to take a smaller dose, like a thumbnail size, and then you work your way up to what he called the Aquaman dose.
I think
I'm
you
like,
can do it in less steps. They're just I don't think that you're gonna find enough mushrooms readily to go through that process in that way. Maybe if they become decriminalized and sold, you can. But for me, when I first did them, the first time I did them, I did a relatively small amount, and that's when I realized I'm very resistant to these. And then I actually before, I did them, I had a really crippling phobia of, fungus.
yeah.
And I just got over it so that I could but yeah, like a lot of my fears that I used to have, like just kind of those base fears of things, they don't exist anymore. You just everything's in context.
I'll tell you
It
though,
reset
oh, go ahead.
it resets your subconscious effectively. It's hard to describe it, but that's sort of a way I could describe it as well.
So that's what pot did to me. What because first I didn't start smoking pot till I was like in my mid 20s, right? Um, and same thing. I had same fears. I didn't know what it was going to do to me. You know, it's like it does different things to different people. The very first time I smoked it out of a bong, and I just got sick to my stomach. I didn't really feel high or like a good kind of high or anything. I said, well, what the hell is this? Maybe it's just not for me. Uh, but then maybe about a week later, my buddy comes over with a little pipe, and I tried it again, and oh wow, that it really did. It kind of reset my mind a little bit too. I wasn't quite um scared of certain things like inhibitions about things I shouldn't have had inhibitions about kind of melted away. And also I thought my feet disappeared because I couldn't feel my feet, and when I looked down they would just kind of go in and out invisible. And I told my buddy and we just laughed for about 45 minutes. So
So
um
here's a bridge I can try and give to you on this. It's like when you go through that kind of a like you don't always have a when you smoke pot, you don't always have that kind of a reaction, but when you do, in that metaphor I gave with that large house that's cluttered up, the proportionate response of cannabis compared to a heroic dose is the equivalent of heroic dose reorganizes the entire house, the yard, everything in it. That what you're describing is like a part of a file cabinet.
okay, all right. I mean, I do have a messy place. So, figuratively and literally. So, I mean, if I could like actually find mushrooms or pot that had helped me to clean up this joint. Uh, I've tried sativa, and it just kind of gives me a headache and I get a little angry. I don't
I
like
get
angry
paranoid
weed.
with sativas. I
Yeah.
understand what you're
You have to find a nice mix. Like I have to find a good hybrid that has I like sativa. I like the head high part of it that makes me productive. It's just like I don't like the everything else that goes with it. So I get enough of indica in there to kind of smooth out the rough spots. And but it's just hard to find that balance that's because
yeah.
it's hard to get that consistently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for cannabis, my thing is, cannabis wants me to be paranoid, especially sativa. I don't really touch sativas for that reason. Um, but and it's very hard to find because I've realized, at least for me, there's 2 levels of trying, any flower. You have the immediate like, the first time you try something, whatever strain it may be, it has an effect, but for me, my body always adjusts to whatever I smoke. So, after about a month, it's different than when I started, and usually, it makes me paranoid after that month. My brain just reorganizes how it takes it in, and, so it took me a long time to find strains that wouldn't do that to me initially and after that first month. But ice cream cake is really good.
We're still talking about pot, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because I like ice cream cake in general. Uh, Probably a little too much. You know what I mean?
But, yeah, if you ever go to a dispensary and you see ice cream cake, try it out. It's my favorite indica. Well, one of my favorites.
Well, hopefully, I mean, we're legal now here in New York. We just don't have the dispensaries yet. They still got to go through some legal mumbo jumbo to get those. But once they do, man, this place it's gonna be like a messed up carnival. I think it's gonna
New
be like,
York needs it.
oh God, do we need it? There's so many uptight people here. Ricky Rant's in the chat. He's from New York too. He could probably back me up on that. But we're at the top of the hour, brother. I tell you, these things go by quick. They really do. Where can I got your information down below, but what's coming up for you and for 99 Perspectives in general? Where can people find you? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, go to our website, 99perspectives.tv. It has everything we have laid out. Just to name the shows that I manage. So obviously, as you know, Kit took over Hard Lens from me at the start of the year, which I've been really grateful for because I literally didn't have any extra time, and now I do, which is nice. But so just our news channels, Hard Lens Media does national news, Chicago Corner does Chicago news, and then on the entertainment side, we have Chicago Reacts, which is our real flagship channel that I managed. A lot of my time is managing that. And we recently just launched another channel called Chicago Reacts Movies and TV. I've taken over the editing of that channel in the last month. And usually the way we do with all the React channels is content that we film takes about a month to come out. So you're going to start seeing the content that I'm cutting together in May, and that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a big difference the way that we was currently done. So I've been spending a lot of time doing that now. It's just another 10-hour a week job that I got. And so I'm excited to build that channel up. I want to get that to 20,000 subscribers, which is 10 times where it's at now, by the end of summer. And I think this new strategy I'm employing will make that happen. So I'm really excited for everyone to check out that, because I thought I'm technically the most experienced editor in the entire network because I've done it longer than anyone, but I always think that I suck at it. And so that's why recently I haven't been editing. And then I started editing movies and TV, and I'm like, I'm not bad at this. I thought I always had in my head an idea that I'm a terrible editor, because I was when I started, and I still have that in my mind. But movies and TV, start of next month, it's every Saturday. There's going to be a movie that comes out. We're kind of figuring out, do we want to do TVs on the channel or movies or hybrid? We're just going to stick with movies for now until the channel gets big enough. But I hope you check it out. I think the first one that's coming out is Fury, and Kit and Kira are reacting to that. And I succeeded at getting YouTube. Like I'm saying, really hard to go on news. I got YouTube to accept a 1-hour cut of a movie.
Nice.
So that's a lot of fun. And then we have Twitch channel, which is Chicago Plays. There's also a YouTube channel that has the recordings of that, also called Chicago Plays, but it's Chicago_Plays, because a play company took the first one. But that's fun. We're going to be revamping that in the next month or so that we do a lot more of that, because you really have to be on a long time on Twitch to really have the channel take off, and 2 hours a day is just not enough for people.
Yeah.
And then we have, of course, World Perspectives Radio Chicago, which Laney's running, and that's running right now. Looking forward to get more people on there. I'm also managing the Chicago, the 99 Perspectives clients, which is what we talked about earlier. What else am I doing? I'm sure there's some other stuff I'm doing that I can't remember right now. But
being awesome. That's what you're doing, but that's 24/7.
One day I'll feel that way. Not today. I still have a lot to accomplish to give myself that credit.
I do graphics and video editing, and Jimmy in the chat, she does too. It's like that she said imposter syndrome is the #1 problem in the editing world. I don't feel like any of my stuff is like good enough, but if I tried to do it and make it perfect, I'd be spending like way too much time on there. And it's almost like your child, right? It's like you're creating this, it's art, really. I mean, video editing is art. You're putting stuff into in a certain order, and then you're adding stuff to it, and it's just for people who don't do it, it's no greater feeling than to put something out like that, and then people actually enjoy it too, which a lot of people do.
I'm always an output guy. How well I feel about myself is all about how well the things that I've done are playing out. And so this is like the first time, and it's like, for me, I'm always about efficiency and everything. So like, for example, when we started, I know we're out of time, but when we started with Reacts, the process of getting 8 videos put together, start to finish, took 35 hours.
Mm.
10 to 20 minute average time of watching. Today, including recording, it takes, for every hour of film we record, it takes including the recording time, it takes an additional like 45 minutes to do all the other work making the video happen. So it's a order of magnitude and a half better. And so with the editing, I kept sending it out. I was trying to hire someone to do this editing for this channel, and they kept coming back to me and, "Oh, I don't get what to do. It's too hard. I don't know what I'm doing." And so eventually I'm like, "Fine, I'll do it." And I realized I don't get why everyone was complaining. It's really easy.
It is. It's just it's time consuming, and if you don't already have an idea of what you want to do in your head, it can be a little difficult. But the technology's out there. I mean, there's actual free editing software that people can use, so they could just get on YouTube and learn how to do the stuff like see what the pros are doing, and they give you little tips and tricks and stuff like that for those out there who want to do that. So there's no excuse. There's plenty of people can do it.
Anyone can do it, and if you get really good at it, it's at least a $30 an hour job.
Yeah. But if too many people do it well, then it's not a $30 an hour job.
Yeah, that's true.
So not on everybody, let's just, take your time.
You can do it, but not you.
Right. As long as you don't live near me, we're fine. Daniel, I appreciate you coming on. This was did you have a good time? I mean, you can lie. You can say you did. Yeah.
Well, I don't lie. I'll tell you straight up if I didn't like it.
I know you would. That's what I like about you. You're pretty blunt. I like blunt people. Not a lot of people can take blunt, but I'm just like, I like to smoke blunts and I like blunt people. So
yeah, the world is easiest when you communicate the clearest and most efficient. There's no point in beating around the bush because you're just creating the same thing, making it worse and not changing anything.
Exactly. I mean, this day and age too, people need to grow a little thicker skin too, because we're in tough times.
Oh, completely.
For people, So, but I appreciate your candor and your honesty in that respect. Before you go, let me shout out everybody that came here to see you. Like I said, Jimmy Sinclair's here, Velvet Trance. My buddy, my nephew Troy, he's my fake nephew, but the love in my heart for you is real. Ed Heller decided to show up, that jackass.
Okay.
Laney Peterson. I love Ed. Ed's one of my old guy friends. So he's pretty awesome. Yona, Atris, thank you. Ricky Rants, Mink Smaz. I've never heard that name before, but thank you for showing up. Dingo was here. Who else was here? I think.
Nightbot is here.
Oh, Nightbot, that jerk. I don't know. Marcus Cage was here. Yeah, Nightbot. He's just so weird. Just says the craziest things.
How dare he say what I told him to say?
You know what? I originally got Nightbot because Nightbot because I didn't think anybody was gonna watch his show and I didn't want to have like a blank chat. So Indy left. Love you, brother. And I think I got everybody. If I missed you, I'm sorry. But I'm glad you all came out to talk to Daniel. It was a great time. So next time you come on, you will be a returning champion, just like in game shows. So,
good.
You could put that on your resume or get a pin or something that says returning champion because
I'll write it at the very top.
Oh, Miguel, thank you. Thank you for coming out too. I mean, I see Miguel in the Hard Lens media chats all the time too. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Usually the first person. I think Miguel might have the record for being the first person on the most times of the channel's history.
Love Miguel. Miguel's always great in the chat. Whether it's Hard Lens or Chicago Corner, either one of those. And now that I know that how much more you got, I'll have to check out your other services too. But I've kept you long enough.
It's a ton of fun. Check out entertainment stuff. That's most of what I do now, really, is manage everything and then run the entertainment channels.
The entertainment channels are fun. I mean, that's why I kind of do this show. A lot of friends in the space, they do like real like journalism, and I used to do that like at TV stations, but now I'm just like, I think I want to leave it to the next generation to be the journalists.
Well, that reminds me. We're on TV now. We have we're about to have 2 shows on channel 21 in Chicago.
That's
It's managing
awesome.
those though.
And you said the terrestrial radio was coming soon. The radio is very close to my heart too.
It's a work. It's a, just like everything we do here. I always balance out every single network and channel by, you know, if it's doing a good job of paying for its own existence, I'm happy to reinvest into it. And so the radio is right now in this very early startup phase where we're still gaining an audience space, but once that is able to convert into paying more for itself, that's when we're going to keep moving it up. It's always going to match because I have to balance out 7 companies and we don't have a lot of funding.
Yeah. And you have a lot on your plate, Mister. As far as balancing those plates on those sticks like that. So I wish you much success with that. And I love you guys. Anything I can do to help. If I'm in Chicago, I'm going to come see you guys. I want to come see the studio. Jerry already said it was
Wonderful.
okay. So if it's not
Oh yeah,
cool,
we entice people. We have candy. We find kids outside. Say you want some candy? It's upstairs.
wait a minute. You got kids. You don't have a windowless van downstairs too, do you? Okay, I don't even want to know. That's going way too into a darker place. Daniel.
Yeah, but seriously, anyone that wants to come in and take pictures of the studio, we welcome them in.
That's awesome. Well, if I'm in Chicago, I want to go back. And the last time I was there was like 2001, I think. And so it's been way too long. So now when I go to Chicago, I'll have a definite good reason to go there, and I'll definitely come see you guys and check out the studio, see the goods, see what you guys are doing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well,
And
you're
one
a
of the
lot of
best views in the city.
Yeah, you do have pretty good view out there too. And you guys are fun too. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for providing news, entertainment, and the best is yet to come, right? So
Yeah. Always.
Looking forward
always going to be
it.
brighter. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I want to thank everybody. I don't know if we were on Rockfin or not. If so, I'm sorry I missed you guys. But on all the channels that we're on today, thank you so much. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Hardlands Media, Chicago Corner. Just go to 99 Perspectives, that website that's in the chat. Check those guys out, and because we got to spread the word. We got to make sure everybody knows about the good things that are going on in Chicago. If you want to subscribe to me, easiest thing, I got my link tree. You'll see right below link tree, extra Bulla. All my channels are on there, donation links, that sort of thing. You got a few bucks you want to throw my way, great. If not, I understand. At least, maybe like, share the show. And let's get this going around too. We got to work together here in the space, collaborate with other creators, and continue to do good things. So thanks, Daniel. I appreciate you, brother. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the party this weekend. And I'm going to get out of the sunshine. This is just a little too weird for me. So have a good weekend, y'all. Wash your ass. Keep it clean, because you never know when you go to the hospital and you don't want dirty drawers. Goodbye.